New, more perfect union with Abdul.
Abolish ICE. I have a hard time with that.
I know that Medicare for all would be very difficult. Why is now the time?
Does he support the continued existence of Jews in Israel-Palestine?
All eyes are on Michigan, where Abdul El-Sayed is on the verge of a massive upset in the Senate Democratic primary, campaigning on issues that were previously deemed too radical.
I'm running on three things: money out of politics, money in your pocket, Medicare for all.
The argument against him is, as usual, about electability.
The electability issue, that is really the central question here.
The establishment pick is Haley Stevens, who's backed by over $30 million from AIPAC.
No one wants Abdul to win more than the Republicans. They think that they can beat him in November.
But in an era where an increasing number of Americans feel politically homeless, what does electability actually mean?
I have a lot of concerns with the Democratic Party.
I feel scared to call myself a Democrat.
I no longer consider myself either a Republican or a Democrat.
And can a progressive agenda really win in a purple state like Michigan?
What's my coalition? It's people who are sick and tired of being sick and tired.
We gathered voters with diverse political views to put El-Sayed's message to the test.
I come from a fourth-generation auto worker family. A lot of what we hear from Democrats is like a lot of lip service, when in actuality they don't really follow through on anything that they really say.
I am a service-disabled veteran. I would previously describe myself politically as more Republican-leaning.
I have voted Republican in the past. I feel like the mainstream media is very biased.
Dude, I don't understand people. I just don't. I don't understand people. Like, I don't know how, I mean, good. I'm glad that these guys are Abdul curious, but I just literally cannot comprehend. Like, if I see people like this in broad daylight, I would never expect them to be like, yeah, I voted for Republicans in the past. Like, to me, that is like your worldview must be so incoherent. Every damn day, I've been doing this job for 13 years. And every damn day I meet another median voter and it makes me want to kill myself. I don't understand how you have survived so far. I just don't get it. I mean, great. I'm glad that they're seeing the light. I'm glad that they are seeing the light. I'm glad that they're Abdul curious. This is awesome. I just don't fucking understand it. I will never understand it.
I do respect a lot of the independent journalists, including Tucker Carlson.
My political views have evolved over time.
Donald Trump did visit Dearborn, and he said that we will try his best to end wars in the Middle East. We accepted his, pledge.
Have you ever voted for a Republican?
Yes, many times. More often than Democrat.
Hey everybody, how are you? So good to see you guys. Nice to meet you. Ibrahim, how are you? Very nice to meet you.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be out.
No, the craziest part about this is these guys aren't incoherent. We are more incoherent than they are. Or incoherent is not the right word for this, but like, we are not the norm. They are. Okay? I need you to lock in and understand that, unfortunately, guys like this unironically are more commonplace than you would think. Part of that is obviously the fault of the Democratic Party, which I have routinely railed against for this reason, because the Democrats are seen as unserious, out of touch, corporate-backed elitists who are very smug, and all they care about is a fake woke posture that they try to deploy against their left flank with regular frequency and try to deploy against their right flank from time to time to, limited success. Do you understand? That is part of the reason why these guys are always lost in the sauce. Obviously, if there was better party branding, if there was a better understanding of what the Democratic Party stood for, if people actually saw what the Democratic Party sincerely stood for, and that was a policy prescription that centered the working class, that focused on improving the existing social safety nets, that didn't shy away from issues because it might not come across as super popular at first, right? Like if they had conviction, if the Democratic Party had moral conviction and they demonstrated it all the time, then these people would be less confused about where they belong politically. Abdul El-Sayed in this video, I suspect, is going to show that reality because he has very clear moral convictions, whether it be on the issue of Israel-Palestine or whether it be on where he stands on the issue of healthcare. He defines himself. He defines his own policies. He is not definable by the opposition for that reason. This is a real strength in theoretical democracy. So guys like this that otherwise would look to every politician and be like, I don't really know what they're for. I think Democrats are for gay shit, which is fine, but I don't really care about it as much, and for nothing else. And the Republicans are, you know, a little bit crazy, but also at the same time, they're going to cut taxes, and that's good. Like, and they're going to be strong on security. They're going to be strong on national security. They're going to be strong on crime. Like, that is the reason why these people are constantly lost in the sauce. Okay? I do not fault the voter. I fault the system. I do not fault the voter, even though sometimes the voter will make me want to kill myself.
Here. Yeah, really appreciate you.
Let's begin with Medicare for All, because that is one of the most important issues in this race.
I went to medical school, and I've spent a lot of time thinking about this system. Wrote a whole book on it. And ultimately realized that the biggest challenge is not making the math work. The biggest challenge is not architecting the system. The biggest challenge is creating the political will to get there. I want you to imagine that next to your insurance card, you had another card. And that card was your Medicare card. It came to you the day you were born. And it didn't matter if you turned 26 or...
I'll be honest, I'll start blaming the voters when there's like a clear-cut, discernible platform that is unbelievably good for the working class, and the voters still oppose it because they're just reactionary babies. Okay? That's when I'll start blaming the voters. Because the reason why a lot of establishment Democrats blame the voters is because, I guess, from their calculation, the Democratic Party currently presents a fantastic policy platform that they do not oppose. I will start blaming the voters when we have puppies for everyone versus infinite diarrhea. Because right now we have vomiting every Thursday to infinite diarrhea, and people are choosing infinite diarrhea at times or choosing not to be a part of vomit every Thursday. If we get to a position in American politics where it's puppies for everyone versus infinite diarrhea and people still choose infinite diarrhea, then I'll fucking start blaming the voters. You understand?
Or get married, or get divorced, or get a job, or lose a job, that you could get healthcare with it. That's what Medicare for All is.
My uncle, he had a precarious healthcare situation, and he put off getting treatment for a while, and he ended up passing away from stomach cancer. I just think that really goes to show how far gone the system stands as it is right now.
Most people just put off having to do anything because the financial burden of actually getting the healthcare you need is more anxiety-provoking than the possibility of being very sick. Now, the current system that we live under allows all of the corporations who make money off of our healthcare system to spend money to elect people who will then turn around and protect the industry. And they've, in effect, manufactured a bipartisan consensus that tells us we can't have guaranteed healthcare through Medicare for All. This is the question I always get. But doctor, how are you gonna pay for it? Just remember, we already pay for it. Every single dollar that goes to the back pocket of an insurance CEO, every single dollar that goes to a pharmaceutical company, every single dollar comes from where? One of our pockets, every single one. And because you don't have to worry about that health insurance CEO's exorbitant salary, now all of a sudden the overhead off that system goes down. That's the vision of Medicare for All. We could have it if we actually were willing to fight for it.
My name is Lena Saad. I'm a clinical pharmacist. There's one patient that was not able to afford her oral therapy at the time, and we relied on giving her samples that we would get from drug companies, and I would literally take it and drive it to her on my way home. So how can we incorporate the pharmaceutical aspect into Medicare for All as well?
So one of the most important things we could do is negotiate prescription drug prices. Medicare becomes the buyer of all prescription drugs on behalf of all of us. And so it can use its power purchasing on behalf of the 350 million people in this country to start bringing those rates down. Here's the other crazy thing about pharma. Almost every pharmaceutical that has come to market in the last decade has had its roots in NIH-funded research. You know who paid for that? We did. Then some private company comes and buys the rights to this thing. Then they get to sell it back to the taxpayer at a ridiculous rate. I mean, that's insane to me.
My mom's from Canada originally, and it seems like the motive there is to keep the people healthy.
Clinical pharmacists voting fucking Republican is insane. I know. Brother, I don't understand.
So what we really want is prevention. I'll be honest with you, I actually agree with Maha on a lot of things. Most people are like, wait, what? They're right about a lot of the problems. The solutions are batshit crazy, but they're right about a lot of the problems. I think we need to stop selling huge amounts of ultra-processed foods in ways that have us subsidizing them via a whole bunch of programs, when what we really want is people to be eating healthy foods in the first place, right? Like in our current system, let's be clear, a lot of people make a lot of money off of people getting sick.
I've been working for Ford Motor Company for 31 years now. I've had it nice being a UAW member that I've had health insurance my entire career. I find myself as a parent of a child with autism. I'm coming towards the end of my career. So that's one of my biggest fears, where the care will be in place for him. I typically hold more libertarian views on.
Look at him, ultra instinct. Republican UAW member is wild too? No, it's not, dude. So many rank and filers are fucking reactionary. It's fine. I mean, it's not fine. Obviously, these labor unions should probably be doing a lot more political education, but again, it still goes back to the party. In some ways, it goes back to the years and years of embedded corruption and nepotism that existed within the UAW. This is pre-Sean Fain. So, you know, that's going to take a long time to fucking fix. But ultimately, rank and filers are always going to be, you know, all over the place with their politics. And in the past, the reason why they were much more organized and voted consistently as a bloc was because it was, you know, there was more motion from the Democrats on trade protectionism, for example. There is nothing funnier to me, but also nothing that shows, that proves that economic populism, left economic populism, is the way forward than a fucking libertarian labor union member. Okay? Do you understand? That's my point. It's proving my point, which is, are you going to put money in my fucking pocket? You're going to put more money in my pocket? Fuck yeah, I'm a part of a labor union. Doesn't matter that I'm a libertarian. That's the trade-off. No one has ideological consistency when it comes to money in your motherfucking pocket. Okay? They will always go for, what will you do for me? Will I benefit from this? Because everyone is inherently self-interested. Okay? Those devoid of empathy need a different line of argumentation, one that revolves around how you or your candidates are going to be able to help improve their material circumstances. Honest question, why do you think libertarianism is incompatible with labor union participation? Yeah, I don't think he's a fucking anarcho-syndicalist, chatter. This is an American we're talking about who has voted for the Republican Party consistently, more than he's voted for the Democrats. You think he's a Chomskyan anarcho-syndicalist, you think? Yeah, he's a libsock, dude. He's a libertarian socialist, actually. He's literally about to start talking about how, you know, it's his anti-imperialist framework that helped him arrive at libertarian socialism as the real solution. He's going to tell us all about how libertarianism means something entirely differently in political theory as opposed to what it means in America. Yeah, he's like, I'm not just a part of the UAW. I'm an IWW member.
Something like this. So would we be doing like a single payer system?
It would be single payer. And what I want is that the government basically guarantees your health insurance. And that allows the healthcare providers to go out and say, look, if I can provide a better service, then I should win more patients. But it shouldn't be that your health insurance says, no, here's who's in network and here's who's out of network. So you're gonna go here and you're gonna like it. And I think there's a couple of pieces that we need to institutionalize. Number one, the governance of this system can't just change on a dime because you have a new president, right? And so the governance would have to live somewhere similar to the kind that we offer in the Fed, right? So the governance would have to sit under but separate from the executive branch in a certain way. We're the richest, most powerful country in the history of the world. And we fight wars for no reason. But whenever we talk about providing healthcare, everyone's like, well, I don't know if we could do it. Well, it's a choice. These are policy choices. I would rather not spend $1 trillion on war. I'd rather spend
Yeah, resident union trucker. It is not chatter. We've had 6 out of 10 UPS Teamsters vote for Trump. And if you tell them we're losing our healthcare and pensions and contributions next contract, we could not only be striking, but there'd be guys ready to kill for it. Yeah. At the end of the day, unions are not about left politics, right politics. It's just about what is fair. Okay? Bare minimum floor for what is fair. It's just about a way of establishing power in your workplace. Okay? That's number one. Number two, unions were about left politics for the longest time. It's just not that any longer. And there is a lack of political education within most labor unions, unfortunately. That's part of the reason. But if there's more political representation, if we got more people like Claire Valdez, for example, again, shout out to UAW, you will have more political education within the union infrastructure as well.
That money on healthcare and schools and infrastructure.
The U.S. relationship with Israel has become a flashpoint in this race.
The question about Israel isn't about the theoretical right to exist of a country that exists. The question about Israel is, do they have a right?
I'm in Florida, IBEW, and a lot of Republicans. I mean, IBEW has a lot of Republicans in general, not just in Florida.
To our tax dollars.
AIPAC is spending $30 million to defeat El-Sayed, its largest single race investment ever.
Too radical for Michigan, too radical for the U.S. Senate.
And his opponent, Haley Stevens, has made her commitment to Israel very clear.
Hello from Israel! I will continue to fight for Israel's existence. Israel comes to me in my dreams.
But most voters believe the U.S. is too supportive of Israel, according to a recent AP poll. So will El-Sayed's message actually get him more votes in Michigan?
As a U.S. Senator, how would you seek to reorient U.S. foreign policy?
I don't believe in unconditional foreign military aid to anyone. I don't pay my taxes every year to be like, man, I can't wait for Israel to get a new tank. And then when it comes to Israel's own behavior, I think we need to engage them consistent with what they have done. They have perpetrated genocide. And before that, they were perpetrating apartheid, right? They lobbied to move us into a war. Now they're trying to annex southern Lebanon. I just think that any other country that behaved that way would be treated as a rogue nation because they're violating international law.
A fear that a lot of American Jews have when they hear messaging against the state of Israel is that that is a slippery slope towards Jews don't belong in Israel-Palestine at all.
I recognize that that land is a land that a lot of people have lived on, right? The most recent inhabitants before 1948 were the Palestinian people, but also historically, the Jewish people. The problem, though, is that the implicit public policy of our government has been to aid, arm, and abet Israel's current government to the exclusion of the right to peace, dignity, and self-determination for Palestinian people, right?
What would you say to people who are worried that withdrawing defense funding to Israel would make American Jews less safe here at home?
This idea that the things that we're doing with our tax dollars to backstop a foreign government somehow makes Jewish folk more safe here, that doesn't make sense to me. I start from a position of principle, which is to say that Jewish Americans are not the same as AIPAC in Israel, that Jewish Americans deserve to live their lives unfettered and unencumbered by discrimination or hate, and that we have to fight together to build an America where that anti-Semitism is stamped out.
There is the largest Arab American community here in Michigan, and mostly are from the southern Lebanon. My dad is building this dream home for all of us as brothers or sisters, and it vanished in a couple of seconds, and the soldiers were laughing about demolishing the whole village. As an American citizen, I'm paying taxes for this government to bomb and kill us for what?
I appreciate you lifting your voice, and I'm sorry about your family's experience. What is happening in southern Lebanon right now is frankly an abomination. I intend to be a voice in the U.S. Senate to consistently advocate for our principles.
It is pretty wild when you think about it. Like, we pay our taxes. Like, if you're Lebanese, if you're of Lebanese descent, living in the United States of America, you're literally paying taxes so that Israel can take that money, take the munitions, and murder your immediate family members, destroy your ancestral village, destroy your homeland, destroy the ecology. Like, it's such a strange phenomena. Meanwhile, there are Jewish Americans who will then turn around and act as though their lives are in harm's way if they can't continue the fucking death campaign. It's like, that's crazy. No, those guys' families are actually being slaughtered. You're out of your dang mind. It's crazy. Anyway, hold on. I'm closing all my fucking tabs because I've had a lot of tabs open. Yes. According to Axios' Barak Ravid, the U.S. military is conducting airstrikes in Iran. I know. We're going to get back to situation monitoring.
And that we apply them everywhere, and that we apply them consistently.
Do you think that it's harder to
Thank you for the 100 community gifted subs, by the way. I didn't see it.
Like, it's easier just to let things keep going, like Israel, AIPAC. Is it just the easy way out?
I'm threatening a system of power that says you just go along to get along. The real issue in our politics is not right versus left. It's not like progressive versus conservative. It's not Democrat, Republican. It's people who are locked out of our healthcare, our housing, our economy, versus the people doing the locking out. I just want to always be on the side of the people who are locked out. In theory, my opponent in this race is Haley Stevens. My real opponent in this race is Chuck Schumer, every corporate PAC, AIPAC. They will run your name in the mud. They will lie about you. They will lie about their opponent. It doesn't matter as long as they maintain a control on power.
One of the biggest attacks on El-Sayed right now is that he will lose to Republican Mike Rogers.
It's not even a question. This one is so dumb. Like, look. There's at least some polling to suggest that Francesca Hong would be a toss-up, right? But with Abdul, the polling shows that he's the stronger candidate. So there isn't even polling on this. They're just saying it. And I don't believe that Francesca Hong will be a toss-up either, by the way, just so you guys understand. At least there's something you could fucking point to with Francesca Hong as far as empirical evidence or what comes close to it, even though I think that all of those polls are severely underestimating the youth turnout and also underestimating outside support that normally would not be polled for the likes of Francesca Hong, because I think she's going to have broad appeal from rural areas that previously would never go for a Democrat. That's my assessment. We shall see how correct I am when, the midterms end. But it's very interesting that with fucking Abdul El-Sayed, there isn't even a single damn poll that says he would lose to Mike Rogers. All the polls show that he's a stronger opponent to Mike Rogers than Haley Stevens. Think about that. And they're still lying about this shit.
The Democratic establishment thinks that Stevens' ties to the Obama administration and her history as a U.S. representative since 2018 make her a safer bet. But recent polls slightly favor El-Sayed's chances against Rogers.
I haven't decided who I'm going to vote for sure. I do think Steve.
Thank you, Schmausters, for the 180 gifted subs. How are you undecided between Haley Stevens and Abdul El-Sayed right now? Please, man. Brother, please, you're in the fucking pocket. You're in the demo. What are you saying to me?
Stevens polls a lot better with like the older demographic who are much more likely to vote. I think Haley would have a better chance.
I'm gonna die. I can't do this. Dog, you're not a consultant. You don't work for the DNC. Just vote for who you like, please, for the love of Christ and all things holy, for the love of Allah, for the love of Yahweh, for the love of Zoroastrianism, for the love of Buddha. We must do away with this centrist, consultant brain, pundit brain, mind virus. What the fuck? For the love of Yaqub. What the fuck? What the fuck is this? What is this? What is this? I don't think there's any, like, what I don't understand is we are supposed to live in a theoretical democracy. And the whole point of theoretical democracy is that you vote for who you think is best, not for who you think others will find to be the best. Okay? Perhaps it's a part of the problem with the two-party system that we have, where you're always engaging in like this weird defensive posture. You're supposed to vote for who's going to win. It's gambling brain that takes over in primaries. No. The purpose is to vote for the candidate that you like. That's what democracy is. Okay? Democracy is about voting for a candidate that you have extracted sufficient concessions from. Okay? Or a candidate that already was there on the values, on the positions that you care about. Okay? That's what democracy is about. Democracy is not about like trying to make this weird calculation about harm reduction and then making an assumption about like what other voters are thinking. Because what that creates is a tendency to be manipulated and duped by centrist, moderate candidates, which are objectively weaker candidates overall. This is the problem. Okay? This is the motherfucking problem. People think, oh, I like Abdul, but Haley might be better because other people might vote for Haley Stevens. And then everyone keeps thinking that, and then they vote for not who they want, but for who they think others want. Stop voting for other people. You don't know what other people think. If anything, other people are probably making the same dumbass calculation you're making.
To beat him.
Does that impact how you're going to decide to vote?
Yes, for sure. When it comes to being against Mark Rogers, I want to hear how you can get your message out to people when you are facing these odds of people spending millions and millions of dollars.
Well, good thing he's already done that and he's surging in the polls. Good thing that is already happening. That's what's ironic about it is he's gone through the fucking ringer in this primary in a way that no Democratic primary ever should have this much outside expenditure. He's literally overcome such tremendous motherfucking odds, dude.
That you don't necessarily have.
You beat Mike Rogers because you build something that embodies the hope and the joy that you want to have for the future. This is a guy who voted to raise prescription drug prices I don't know how many times. Then he helped to architect the opioid epidemic. He took $700,000 from the pharma industry. They're going to spend a whole lot of money trying to call me some combination between a communist and a terrorist. And I'm going to sit out there and be like, yeah, well, he's corrupt as hell. Now, I get it. I'm brown, I'm Muslim, I got a name you probably can't pronounce, right? But I was born and raised here, and I've taken the time to serve and listen. So I think that's how we beat him.
I do question his ability to win against a Republican. I feel that some of his beliefs turn off a large portion of the population. Listening to his comments that he would like to abolish ICE, I have a hard time with that.
I'm Abdul El-Sayed, the only Senate candidate for abolishing ICE, and I approve this message.
That's awesome, by the way. Libertarian union rank and filer who is very angry at the concept of the abolition of ICE. What is the libertarianism then? Like, even from the American perspective, libertarianism meant, not a different kind of Republican necessarily, but one that actually, cares about anarcho-capitalism, free of the market, free of the people, but also is like definitely in favor of unrestricted immigration. That's what the Cato Institute is about. It's anti-police, it's pro-migration, it's definitely anti-ICE.
A lot of people in this room, abolish ICE is one where they are a little bit confused about what it means. Lena, you expressed some questions about what Abdul's immigration policy looks like.
I think we can put ICE to better use to protect our borders and protect Americans. How can we draw that fine line between utilizing this federal agency versus allowing them to go rogue as they've done recently?
Here's the thing. So I've run government agencies, and once they take on a certain culture, it is really hard to change the culture. Really, really, really hard. So under Trump, he started to recruit people who specifically came to ICE, not to specifically...
Sister, you are hijabi. The same surveillance and mass detention apparatus that ICE is deploying in Michigan neighborhoods was deployed against your family members for the last 25 years. What are you saying? Like, this is beyond this isn't even empathy at that point. I'm not requiring empathy here. I'm expecting, self-preservation. ICE was created in the same package after 9/11 to mass surveil you. If you're from Dearborn, you already lived it for the last 25 years. What the hell? I think we're all understanding now how swing states exist. That's how I feel about my fellow transists being pro-Israel. Yeah, I didn't want to say anything about that, but it is actually kind of shocking because I feel like a decade ago, every trans person was like straight up communist. And nowadays, although the conditions have worsened for trans people, now you see a lot more liberal trans people, which I don't fully understand because like, it's not like the conditions got better for trans people. So now you can be like, well, I'm a part of the normal political process now. Like, I don't really care about any of this other shit. Like, it doesn't, like, how did you move rightward while trans existence came under the crosshairs even further? Like, it's not like there's more acceptance now. Cause like you see this with white gays, right? Like there was a point where there were a lot of cisgender white gay men that were like, oh, well, I kind of like Trump. I'm rich, whatever. Because like Trump wasn't expressly anti-gay. Well, Trump is himself a bit of a queen, but you know what I mean. And that is because like, pro-gay marriage, it's now established law. People are much more open-minded to, gay people existing. I think it went from gay acceptance went from like 20% in the last 2 decades to like 73%, right? It's insane. So like that makes a little bit more sense if you're like a white gay guy and you're like, I'm rich, I like Republicans, I don't want these fucking immigrants in the country. But if you're trans, if you are transgender, it's not like acceptance skyrocketed for trans people that you're like, you know, I'm a little bit more comfortable with less radical ideas now. Like you're kind of outside the confines of the you know, civility, fetishist, respectability, politics inducing liberal democracy. As someone of the MB community, there's always been a ton of conservative trans people, and some of them shifted to being liberals. Yeah, that I fucking fully do not understand. Like, dude, how are you going to be transgender and conservative? Like, what the fuck? That's a real chickens for KFC moment right there. That makes no damn sense. That makes even less sense. We got one centrist trans person in Congress, so a bunch of trans folks might have felt we arrived. Yeah. There's also the former Media Matters lady. That's like a huge pro-Israel person too. And then there's that other one. There's a couple like super libbed up trans folk on Twitter, and they all hate me. Oh my God, I wasn't even factoring in Brianna Wu, obviously. I mean, Brianna Wu is just fucking insane. Yeah, what the hell is going on? Yeah. Yeah, no trans person likes Brianna Wu. You're thinking of Stacey K, yeah. And then Ari is the other one. And I guess ContraPoints too. Hasbro points. I guess the one factor usually is just like level of wealth and comfort, right? That's got to be it, right? That's what usually turns like, that is the one thing. Like class politics is far more determinative of like where you will arrive at with your politics than anything else. Even if you're transgender, which is literally universally under every crosshair pretty much. Liv Agar and Juniper both like you though? Yeah, of course. I mean, plenty of trans people like me. I'm just talking about like some of the more popular trans content creators who have pivoted towards liberalism in recent years, and it's just like shocking. I don't understand it.
Forced immigration policy, but they're against immigration.
Oh yeah, whiteness too. Dude, why am I losing my voice? Whiteness.
The whole subtext of this is that Donald Trump sold this fallacy to people where he understood that people were in pain. You're out of a job. You're out of a home. You can't afford your health care. And his answer was a simple one. Well, if you're out of a job, it's because the immigrant took a job. Out of a home, immigrants living in your home. Out of health care, immigrants took a health care. And so he turned immigrants into the answer to everybody's problems. And then he built out ICE as a way of demonizing immigration itself. ICE itself has become a rogue agency based on a premise that is inconsistent with both the Constitution and the ideals of our country. We don't need it. In fact, we didn't have it before 2002. America's a lot older than 2002. So the notion that we can't protect our southern border or we can't enforce immigration policy without ICE is just not true. You get rid of the agency, you fire all the people in it, and then you ask yourself, what would you want to build that actually achieved the goals that we have? To keep a safe and secure southern border, to create a very clear pathway to citizenship for people, right? And in the cases where you have people who should not be here and do bad things, that you are very targeted in your enforcement, rather than making a show out of enforcing to tell all immigrants that they don't belong here.
That's very, very enlightening. Thank you.
Because I think this goes to like ICE and other things that like are
Dog, they're slandering you. They're calling you the spaghetti Rizzler on Twitter. Sloppy spaghetti kid for real. That's fucked up because it's true. I love spaghetti. No. Stop, dude. What the fuck? Y'all see a white, chubby boy and immediately say, oh, that's just like the Rizzler. That's just like, what's his name? I forget. Oh my God, he's kind of washed now. Jesus Christ. Suit guy from the beginning? Yup. Big Justice. Inescapably New Jersey. I mean, that's literally in Turkey. That's when I used to live in Turkey. This is a very Turkish household. This is my grandfather's home. The one I'm named after, Hasan. Hasan Dede. Pretty sure. I mean, look at the curtains, dude. MashaAllah, tesbih rosary. Yeah, I got the tesbih in one hand. Kafir around the neck. Throwing up the one. Same aura. Same aura, different day, different time. This photo was taken in 2004, chat. 2004. Which is like, what, 10 years ago? You know, maybe like 6 to 10 years ago. I'm not very good at math. Bro, I wasn't even born yet. Stop. Stop. That's not appropriate. It's not appropriate to think about that people were born after 2004. That's insane to me.
Politics are so black and white. How do you change that narrative? Because we need to recognize each other as like people.
Yes, it's a shamag, not kafia. It's true.
The problem,
but Americans don't know that.
The Democrats is it's too easy to point and say, I'm against Trump. You should vote for me. And you're like, well, from a policy standpoint, are you really for me?
Yeah.
You're taking money from all the worst people. So what would happen if we actually built a movement about what could be good? When we can start talking to folks who might have voted for Trump for a whole bunch of different reasons to be like, all right, is your life better now? Do you have better health care? Do you have better access to a job? Can you afford a home? If no, here's an opportunity. Let's focus on that, right? So I just really appreciate you guys having this conversation that's like the lifeblood of what we do in our civics and is really enlightening. Thank you guys. Appreciate you all.
Did Abdul change your mind on any issues?
Yeah, definitely on the ICE issue.
I think the way that Abdul spoke about Medicare for all, as far as it being a plausible and a tangible goal, was pretty enlightening, and I plan to vote for Abdul.
I think
my goat, my UAW libertarian goat. He's like, yeah, I fucking hate ICE now. Abdul taught me.
That Abdul did change my mind about what I feel like I can expect from a politician.
Look, I live in a very Jewish neighborhood. For those of you who don't know, West Hollywood. Okay, I actually live fairly close to like a relatively large Orthodox population as well, and I talk to a lot of Jewish normies, specifically older Jewish normies. And the only time, like the people that know me, obviously, they know I'm not anti-Semitic. Even though they see a lot of the reporting, they're just like, "Oh, you're radical." So they're just getting mad. It's fine, right? The only time Don't tell people where you live. Dog, I live in West Hollywood. What are you talking about? It's very, I've openly discussed this many times. So I thought you said it was a Persian neighborhood. What religion do you think the Persians are? Chatter. Anyway. Oh shit. Yeah. So not Jews like you're implying. Wait, what? In West Hollywood and Beverly Hills? In Beverly Hills and West Hollywood. Anyway. So what I was saying is the only time I thought the West Hollywood Jews were from Russia. Yes, there's a lot of Ashkenazi Jews as well. Anyway, there's a big conservative Jewish community. There's a big Orthodox Jewish community. There's a Persian Jewish community. Anyway, it's part of the reason why I say it's a very Jewish neighborhood, Beverly Hills, West Hollywood. So the only time where people have been like, I'm actually a little bit worried about this was with Abdul. I don't know what the fuck is going on with like Jewish Insider and the newspapers they read or the conversations the older normie Jews are having in the synagogues or whatever. But they were literally like genuinely for the first time ever. And I've been receiving these like anti-Semitism attacks for so long. And that has not shaken their faith that I am not an anti-Semite at all. It wasn't Zoran. It was Abdul. They were like, he's so scary. Like he wants to, he wants to destroy Israel. He wants to like purge all the Jews from Israel. I was like, no, he's a fucking sweetheart. Racism, he's very Muslim looking compared to you or Zoran. I mean, but I don't get it. Maybe because he's Egyptian. He's built not a twink like Zoran. I don't know. What is this bitter ass fucking loser still standing her though? WABI, Wabi. Maine Governor Janet Mills stopped short of endorsing Troy Jackson for the U.S. Senate in Maine. Governor Janet Mills says she has not spoken with the newly nominated Democratic candidate for Senate, Troy Jackson, and declined to endorse him, but believes the Republican Senator Susan Collins should be defeated. Yeah. I don't know if you guys remember this, but Troy Jackson talked about this. Troy Jackson was the most vetoed Democrat in the state Senate in Maine by the Governor Janet Mills. He had more bills vetoed by the governor than any other state senator. Just so you understand, when Janet Mills is like, oh, I haven't spoken to him. No, they used to speak all the time. She's the governor. He was the president of the state Senate. So she's very familiar with Troy Jackson. Troy Jackson has been in the state legislature for 26 years, 6 years as the state Senate president. So it's pretty crazy. New races outed themselves in the Abdul race. Yeah, I know. This is not a new race. These are old races. Hillary Scholten was asked whether she plans to support Abdul El-Sayed if he wins the Michigan Democratic Senate primary. I will not stand beside someone who has allowed distinctly anti-American sentiment to enter our public dialogue. More details on the interview will be published on Semaphor's website this Thursday. I love that these like Israel firsters are so funny, where they just straight up are like, yeah, we're doing the reverse uncommitted, but this time actually for good candidates that abide by the Democratic majority opinion, you know? It's very cool. Sorry, but when the world does this mean? Abdul allowed distinctly anti-American sentiment to enter our public dialogue. If you're going to make an accusation like that, one, be specific, speak English like a normal person. Yeah, no, she's just racist as fuck. She also implied that Abdul was a sexist, was like misogynistic in the same vein as like Graham Plattner, which was disgusting. Yeah, centrists in Congress anonymously threatening to leave the Democratic Party. James Carville calling for a schism. Pouty, also anonymous, pro-Israel donors in Michigan calling for a donor strike. I wrote about the emerging centrist uncommitted movement. Fuck. The fuck is going on? Jesus Christ, man. Not today. No. Loyalty demands only go left, never right. What is Egghead yapping about? Across the past 10 years of advocacy for Medicare for All, we've gotten more political clout for M4A proponents than ever before, but seem to be further from a situation where it's easy to envision broad-based tax increases to pay for more public services. This is bad. What is Eggboy yapping about? He's just fucking doing the same exact line of attack against Medicare for All, that it would increase people's taxes when it would unironically decrease the overall expenditure on healthcare that comes out of your pockets because you no longer have to fucking pay for premiums. So you wouldn't be paying for premiums. You'd be paying for a modest tax increase instead of those premiums, and the modest tax increase would be far, far cheaper than the premiums that you have to pay, which is, you know, the classic idiotic centrist neoliberal argument against fucking socialized medicine. And it's so stupid. It's been discussed endlessly, but Matt Iglesias, of course, being the centrist neoliberal stooge that he is, you know, making that same dumbass argument. Isn't Hillary Scholten the lady getting her fuck on with a Republican governor candidate? Yes, that's what I've heard. That's what is being alleged about her. Yeah. The rumor is Hillary Scholten and John James had or are currently engaged in a romantic affair. This rumor circulated among anti-John James Republicans in the Michigan GOP months ago, and Perry Johnson's campaign had been promoting it. Multiple people with connections to Michigan politics in both parties have been aware of the rumor for a while. Yeah, she cheated on her husband, I think, with a Republican, John James. Yeah, this Rahm Emanuel story is really funny. Rahm Emanuel recounts what he told the Mamdani regarding his Israel stance. Anna Barr, Zoran's comms team, came out and was like, this did not happen. I don't know why he's lying about this.
Where quite strong words were spoken between you and Mayor Mamdani in New York.
I said, when you're mayor, time goes faster and you got to make choices. What's an A, what's a B? When we got to the Middle East, I said, look, you are your father's son. I'm my father's son. You chant a river to the sea. And that means there will never be a Jewish homeland for Jews.
Yeah. Zoran Mamdani's dad, his name is Mahmoud Mamdani, is a post-colonial academic. Your dad was a terrorist in the Irgun militia. Just saying, like, What the fuck are you saying, Ram? What are you saying? That is an insane thing to say to Zohran Mamdani, who is not Palestinian. It would be even more insane if he was. But it's pretty funny, yeah. Ram's dad was in Etzel, aka the Irgun, a terrorist organization that perpetrated many atrocities, including the Deir Yassin massacre, the bombing of the King David Hotel, and the murder of hundreds of women and children. Zohran's dad was a college professor at Columbia. The Irgun's tactics were so abhorrent that they were declared illegal by the Israeli government in 1948 and condemned as terrorists who shed innocent blood by the WZC, World Zionist Congress, Conference in 1946. This is an organization that Alan Dershowitz compared to Hamas at one time. This is also the same, like his dad is the reason why Albert Einstein wrote that letter. Albert Einstein wrote that letter saying, we are becoming the thing that we oppose. We are becoming like Nazis. This kind of like ethnic and religious chauvinism is going to turn us into Nazis. This was right after the Holocaust. Which, of course, the militia members ended up getting formative roles in what is now known as the Israel Defense Forces. And also, many prominent members ended up, I think, folding into Likud. Yeah, this is an organization that Alan Dershowitz was compared to Hamas at one time. Even among many Zionists, the Irgun occupies the same place as Al-Qaeda. Of course, much of this is a way to separate Etzel from legitimate arms of the Israeli militias and military, all of whom also use terrorism to murder innocent people. So, as I've said before, it's Haganah, Irgun, and Lihi, Stern Gang, which is, of course, Menachem Begin, one of its founders, was also the founder of Likud. Exactly. Emmanuel apologized for his father's anti-Arab comments. Haganah was the largest one and also the most, like, I guess, the most moderate, even though they also did a shit ton of violence too. But, yeah, Stern Gang was so openly fascist that they openly collaborated with the Nazis and also fascist Italy. Stern Gang did. So to varying degrees of insanity. Stern Gang also, I think Stern Gang was the one that openly called themselves terrorists as well. But yeah, Anna Barr can confirm this did not happen. So yeah, very funny thing to lie about. Also reminding people like who your dad is for no reason in 2026.
Who had faced the Holocaust. And I said, I want you to hear this over my dead body.
You had a meeting with quite strong words.
It's also really funny that Rahm Emanuel thinks he's like hard body in any way, shape, or form. Come on, Rahm. Dog. Fuck you mean? Like there's no generational terrorism genes that carried over from your dad to you. You know what I mean? Just because he was a terrorist doesn't mean that you have any of those skills that carried over. Well, actually, Rahm might have served. Did Rahm serve in the IDF? He might have. But yeah, he's still a fucking fake demon. Finish the video? What? I just finished it. Oh, you mean the other video, the video with Abdul. I thought we ended it already.
Who really believes what they say.
Him taking a stance on something, even if it's strong and people consider it maybe too strong. I think taking a stance means something.
It's an election. Anybody could lose. Haley Stevens could lose. And I'd rather, vote for somebody who I agree with on their policy points rather than somebody who I just think is against Trump. I've got my mail-in ballot at home. I'm going to go home and fill it out and mail it in for Abdul El-Sayed.
Let's go. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. And he's going to win. And he's going to win. Okay, that's good.
The narrative in the media is that El-Sayed's policies are too radical to win. But with these voters, who largely distrust both parties, his ideas broke through. El-Sayed won't be able to sit down with every skeptical voter in the state, though. So I asked him what he thinks his path to victory in November actually looks like.
You talked to a bunch of voters who had voted for Trump, many who identified as Republican for a long time, and they all left the conversation yesterday saying that they're going to vote for you. Are there issues beyond sort of Medicare for All, which is your core, that you think have the potential to win over disaffected Trump voters in a general election?
Corporate monopoly, the corruption of our food system, the role of AI in society, the onslaught of data centers. You think about who's taking money from these corporations. Unfortunately, it's Democrats and Republicans. I always wonder why there's so much opposition to this in the Democratic Party. Yeah. And I keep coming back to the same answer, which is it's just laziness. It's laziness, and it's this sort of elitism. The laziness part is, well, if we can't get money from corporations, then we're actually going to have a message and go talk about our message anywhere and everywhere. I've done 450 public events. I challenge my opponent in this race to say how many events she's done, where she's actually taking questions. You got to do the work, it turns out. And then the elitism part is, well, the corporations are rich and they throw the fanciest parties. And if I don't take their money, I'm not going to be invited to the party. I'm like, fuck your party. Who cares? You got the best room on the Titanic and don't realize that the whole Titanic's about to go down. I don't know, man. I just, I really struggle to understand the psychology of it.
Yeah. It seems to me that you are interested in something deeper than just winning this election, that it is actually fighting for some sort of change.
Losing this primary is not the worst outcome for me. The worst outcome is that I get the job and I fail to deliver. That's the worst outcome.
Beast mode.
So I don't want to fight for the job and in the process hamstring myself from doing the work. I don't want to have been one of those senators that, you had this power and then you sold out and then you can't even account for why you were there. So right now, you've got the choice between three candidates, two of us in this primary and then one in the general. There's only one of us who's never taken money from Blue Cross Blue Shield. Only one of us who doesn't want to send your money abroad to drop bombs on other people and wants to keep it here to invest in your kids. There's only one of us. So, which do you pick?
Thanks for watching. Don't forget.
Beast mode. God, I love More Perfect Union so much.